All right, today we are going to load the FMS using Simbrief and Navigraph charts for all the information we could possibly need. I got the 737-800 up here. We're going to do a new flight, and we're going to be flying a Delta 737-800 from, let's just go DAL for Delta, flight number 738. Let's go from Atlanta, KATL, to Detroit, KDTW. There we go. That's all we have to put in for now. And then the last thing we really have to put in, and they'll generate everything else for you. 737-800. Look at that. It's got the route. And if you go down here, it's going to say this is the selected route is the Paget to Smith transition Q67 to Henderson, I think that is. Direct to Subway for a hot rod to arrival. All right, let's generate that flight plan. Show you how easy this is. And let's import the old route. Into Microsoft Flight Sim. That's what we're doing. There's all kinds of neat information here you can look at too. You can look at the actual flight plan that the crew is going to get on their EFB. You can look at weather NOTAMs. It's really amazing. It's a lot of information. We're not going to go into that right now. We're just loading the box with the Simbrief. Okay, so we're going to close up Simbrief. And this is saying we're going to use 8 right. Let's see where they put us on the Paget 2. 8 right to Paget 2. Let's see what happens. We're going to be on the runway when we show up here, and then we'll load the box. You can set yourself up at a gate if you want to do it. Hopefully I get this thing right the first time. Sometimes, you fly a lot of DCS and everything, and you don't go to Microsoft Flight Sim, and the next thing you know, you get reinventing the wheel. All right, let's turn on the old track IR. Sorry about that. Okay, here we are. Looking at the FMS. I'm going to turn off the track. Let's just put FMC in there. Okay. Nav database is good. Posinit. This is our GPS position. You don't have to put a reference airport in there, but if you want to cross-check the GPS just for grins, just in case, and you see that it's almost identical, it's going to be a little bit off. Okay, let's go to the route and request. We'll just stick that in there to get rid of it. Let's request the flight plan. Oh, we didn't, whoops, we didn't turn on EFB. So now we got to turn on the EFB first and hit request data from Simbrief. There we go. This is alternate is Cleveland. Yep. Going to Detroit. Okay, back to the FMS. Now we see that the Atlanta-Detroit flight plan is in there. So this is critical. Once you select that flight plan, you got to go down to route. And what that does is it highlights the request button, which means you've got it requested. If you don't go down to route down on the bottom, um, it doesn't know that you requested the flight plan. So we're just waiting for the flight plan to come up. Route uplink ready. We're going to hit load right here. This is very similar to the way you do it with the A cars in real life. The ACARS talks to company and CPDLC talks to ATC, and they're basically communication systems that allow them to communicate with you. Okay, so we're going to activate this flight plan and execute it, and then we're just going to go through the steps just like we would in real life. So now notice we were supposed to be on 8 right according to the Microsoft, but this thing's got us looking like we're on 2.7 right. So we're using 2.7 right just to jive with what this thing thinks we're on. So we're going to go to, we're not going to do runway yet or anything. Let's just go to Perfinit and we're going to request the performance initiation. That's what that is. It's going to Simbrief is sending that. It always takes a minute or two. Okay, Perfinit uplink is ready. Let's go to the load. We're going to load it. Hey, look, looks good. It's got us flying at 350. I'll buy that. Okay, so let's go. The next thing we want to do is the departure because they don't, the automatic ACARS does not load the departure. That's the one thing you got to do. What did we say it was going to be? I forgot what our departure was going to be. I don't recognize any of those. Oh, Cut and Gary. Nope. Well, now I got to figure it out. Might be the Paget. Um, let's go up to Navigraph charts. So now here is where, turn this thing off. This was a previous flight, so but it says a sim flight plan is detected. It's not going to load that one. It's going to load the current one to Detroit. That one's going to JFK that it did before. Now here it has Atlanta Detroit, which is the current one, and they've got a. This thing says 8 right, but for whatever reason. All right, Paget 2. That's what I thought. Paget 2. I don't remember seeing Rafton anywhere. Let's look at the legs. Smith. Smith might be it. Let's go back to the departure arrival. Find Paget again. There it is, Smith. We're going to use Smith as the, and then this has us, I think it's got us, for whatever reason, just go with it, 2.7 right. Yeah, okay, so 2.7 right works. And we execute that, and we got a magenta line there. Okay, so that's our departure. Let's check it. Everything looks good. Paget Smith, 350. Now let's put the arrival in. What was the arrival was Hot Rod, that's right. Okay, wouldn't you know? There's the Hot Rod with the subway transition. Yep, I remember that off the flight plan. And you'd have all this up if you wanted. Okay, so what are they using? Let's go to Detroit. And select it. And get the ATIS for Detroit. All right, what do we got here? Is there? Do we have an ATIS yet? Nope. This is just the. This is. Oh, wait a minute. You got to select ATIS. Duh. All right, that's departure ATIS. Let's see if we can find an arrival ATIS. There it is. Detroit arrival info, India. They are using simultaneous visual approaches, 2-1 left, 2-2 right. Use the Zulu frequency for 2-2 right. All right, so they're doing a visual to 2-1 left, and we'll back that up with the ILS. And that is 2-1 left. So let's just stick that in there. We can put a transition in there, so go to procedures, arrivals, charts. Let's go to charts. So we're going to do the approach is going to be the ILS to 2-1 left. Oops. ILS is always on top. And we're going to check that out right here. And look, with the mouse is how you make this bigger right here. So we're talking, we got a rider, a count, and a Kobo transition. That's it. Which one do we want? Let's try, not rider. Let's do something off of the count is right here. Let's use count just for fun because it's lined up. And we might be doing a long final. We can always change that when we get closer and we figure out exactly what we're doing. Okay, route of flight. Now let's go to the takeoff page. Menu, FMC. Oops, sorry about that. It's the this page gets you the index right there. Okay, takeoff is right here. Flaps. Now, just for the sake of, they got us at flaps 5 for the 7.3. So let's just go with that. Flaps 5. Now, they figured our V speeds, but we don't have our CG for the trim. So we got to go back to the perfinite page and get the CG, the takeoff CG, that is 25.1% mean aerodynamic chord is what that is. So takeoff page 25.1. There we go. Now that gives us our trim of 5.04. So while we're looking at it, let's just put the speeds in, and then they'll show up right up here. The ones that aren't visible based on the speed gauge on the left here, it just shows you that V1 is 145, but it's supposedly way up here. So that's how that works. All right, what were we doing? I was gonna do some. Oh yeah, the trim. Let's do that. Let me see if I can turn on that. Okay. So the trim is in the green, and there's 5. Don't have your knee against that thing, even with the manual handle stowed. All right, pretty good right there. Okay, flaps are full. We are ready to go. One thing that we didn't do, this isn't part of the FMS, but 145 is V2. We stick that in the speed window here. 54, I think it said. I guess I'm yeah, 154 is V2. Minimum single engine speed. Of course, 275 would go in here based on the chart. 10,000 out of Atlanta. You can set this up for a possible return, your ILS. Put an ILS frequency for, I don't know, 27 right is a long runway. So you could put the 27 right ILS in there, set up as though you had to do a return if you wanted, or you could just go to Detroit and look at the ILS here and stick that in there. It's your choice. I would bet a lot of the captains on this thing. I never flew the 738. I bet a lot of the captains set it up for a return if they need it. So that's it. All you got to do, that's it right there. We've done ident, position. We did the perf. Let's just go through them. The ident page, you always got to check the active nav database. And from there, we went to the position. Perf init. Takeoff page, we got loaded. We didn't do any approach stuff, but we're ready to go. Tell you what, this thing won't arm LNAV on the ground. The other airplanes that I flew do. So what we'll do, let's just go ahead and take off. I don't think the parking brake is even on. Let's see. Nope, it's not even on this PMDG. All right, let's get rid of Navigraph charts. Let's do a quick takeoff real quick. Maybe I can pull this off without screwing the pooch on it. Auto throttles are on. And heading. All right, let's see what happens. I'm going to start the throttles up. We're going to set them at about 70% N1. And then we're going to hit toga. And then the auto throttles are going to take over and set takeoff power. Make sure I'm going down a runway right here. Throttle hold right there. Thrust is normal. Let me straighten myself out on this thing. There we go.
V1 rotate.
Okay. Bringing it up to about 15 degrees nose high. And let's put the gear up. 400 feet, give me LNAV. Start the right turn over towards C-Pank or whatever the hell it's called. Got a little high there. Trying to do too much. Let's go VNav and autopilot. Oh, save me. Save me, George. Yeah, it's going back. You can see I started turning a little too early. Okay, now we're accelerating. I'm going to start the flaps up. You can put the flaps to 20 knots below as long as you're accelerating. And how do you know you're accelerating? The little arrow right here. The little green arrow says you are accelerating. Not to mention, you can see the speed coming up. Okay, I got us at flaps 1 now. And oh, we are not in VNav. Okay. Now we're in VNav. All right. Whew. Now it's accelerating much better. When you push the button for whatever nav you want, you got to make sure on the scoreboard up here that it actually happens. So I pushed VNav. Let's go flaps up. I pushed VNav. Flap lever is up. And it didn't actually engage VNav. So you really got to check stuff. When you push a button, you make sure using the other indicators that it actually happened, whatever it is you're trying to do. Try to keep the heading bug on the top of the case. So let's check our scoreboard. We're in N1, climb power. There it is, says climb power. We're in LNAV, so this thing is driving us. We're in command, means we got an autopilot on. And VNAV speed, it's just, this isn't going to turn to VNAV path until we level off. And let's go to legs page. You should like to leave the legs page up. Be a good time to turn the radar on, even though you don't see anything in the distance. The radar's going to see it before you do. Also, terrain up is a good one. You can't have radar if you got terrain, so that's just one of the caveats there. So a lot of the way they do it is, one guy's got the radar on, and the other guy's got the TCAS or the terrain on. TCAS is always on anyway. I didn't turn the TCAS on, that's why it says TCAS off. So I wasn't doing checklists or anything. Basically, you got to turn the. See if I can do it. All right, now the TCAS is on. You got to turn the transponder on, TARA, to get the TCAS to work. All right, that's it. Loading of the box and a takeoff. Kind of a half-ass takeoff anyway. So that's the 1,000 to go. We never talked to anybody, so there we go.